The season's almost over, and let's enjoy it while we can, shall we? Circuit Zolder's the name. This channel's been here in just the last few weeks, and it's time to bring it down one more time. It's well, whether you like or hate it, depends strongly on your preference towards chicanes. It certainly has a lot of those. This iconic Belgian venue only has a few strong passing zones, but they require bravery and intensity to make it through. I have had fun here earlier this week when I got an official race in, and I think the top drivers, as long as they keep their hands and cars to themselves, might be able to produce something just as fun. Only 2 weeks to go on the season, of course, and this time I'm finally not alone again. Joined in the booth by someone who's been around on the channel before, but it's his first time on this series. It's Mr. Jim Cunningham.
Howie, yeah, it's good to be here. I'm glad we finally worked out a schedule where we could do this together. And what a track for me to show up on. It's one of my hardest tracks. I am so bad here. I love it, but I'm bad.
I love it, but I'm bad. I could use to summarize most things that happen to me in iRacing, to be honest. But sometimes it all just works out for me. Very close championship could really be settled today. I'm not completely sure of, again, drop weeks. They're just a crazy complication on the matter, but a good finish from our one car and Medma, I think, would very much push him over the line, given the 50 versus 40 for finishing first and second. So, and Medma ready to lock it in for what will be a fun finale no matter what. Some pretty good battles further down behind. There's still a decent amount to play for, I think, among some of our drivers, of which a few championship contenders weren't here, and we have a few others. I might have missed a driver or two in there. I hope I've gotten that right. And Medma, our highest driver. But in our 3.4K SoF, we have Ian Joyner back as ever again in P2. I remember Eric Van Spiker, but he hasn't raced for a while. Plenty of favourites around here. And just time to mention, while the drivers are qualifying, that only a couple of weeks for me to have to say it, but I've gotten used to it every single time. FILMBIL.NO bring you coverage of this series. They provide all sorts of automotive services for any filming across the Scandinavia region. They've been in Hollywood movies as well as commercials. They can do pretty much anything and everything, from stunt vehicles to emergency driving, and you can add to the domain in the corner if that sort of business applies to you. There's got to be more of you out there. There's got to be more of you out there indeed. So keeping an eye on the qualifying times. Fastest laps coming in just a second. I don't think anyone's quite set one yet, but we're about to come to the end of our first fast laps. And this track is tricky, isn't it? It sure is full of chicanes and more chicanes, and I would say slowdowns somehow. The slowdowns are a very justifiable complaint to complain about on this track.
Yeah, it's I kid when I like talk about being bad here. I mean, it's interesting. I like the I think that those are good passing zones. You know, you can dive in there on somebody and try to outbrake them. It sets up for some passing opportunities. It's got some straightaways to set up a little draft pass if you can. So there's some opportunities here. I enjoy the track. I really do. I'm not as bad as I made it out to be, but I do like it. It's fun.
Our Skip Barber drivers raced this 2 races ago. It's the only crossover we've seen in this particularly unusual schedule, and they kept it very single file until the last lap when someone decided to send it 3 wide into one of the most important chicanes on the track and changed the complexion of the race on the spot. Now, I don't have favourite children. I don't, you'd never accuse me of corruption or impropriety, but I think these cars often race more aggressively. And so I'd be curious to see how they play it out. Now, I'm noticing Ad Medma failed to set a legal time on that first lap around. It wasn't even a fast one. It was a 39.0, but he may have caught a slowdown or an off track on one of these chicanes. He's going to need to make up that time with only one more lap attempt remaining. See if I can get my current and predicted lap down without something crashing under my shoulders like it often seems to do. It's a 38.5 right now. He could be in line with a few good corners to play spoiler.
Yeah, well, if he can run that lap that he's predicted, of course it's going down right now. That'd put him on the pole.
And well, we're about to see that play out in front of our very eyes. And I think it is going to be a good lap. Martin Arnoldus jumps with a 38.9.
Oh,
and Medma
third.
Gets the third fastest on this field. A few drivers I certainly haven't recognised the name of. Here is Ardis Polis. You know, I'm always happy to see new blood in this time slot. Sometimes, don't ask me what's going on that guy's car. Some people may express some people may express some cynicism at the future of this series, and I'll talk about it a little bit more next week. I certainly don't want to spend a whole race soapboxing, but I'll just say for now that as long as we have people jumping into these slots, I'm at least very, very happy with what I see because it's a ton of fun, and I just love calling it. Qualifying done. Our starting grid loading in place. Let's get it going. Martin Arnoldus takes another pole alongside Ian Joyner, and Medma only gets it into third. Fabio Berchtold sits in P4 with Nick Aronson in fifth and Christopher Cash in sixth. Richard Harwood sits in seventh with Eric Van Spiker in eighth. Alexander Istad sits ninth with Jake Forster in 10th. Nato Brown sits 11th next to Erwin Paul. They might just be running the same cars side by side. Ian Anderson in the Iron Brew car in 13th. I'm not going to work out what Hecky Schaefer is driving on the car, but I'm telling you that is also a Mario helmet. So, based on so many accounts, he's going to sit 14th on the road. Alistair Morton sits 15th with Aldis Polis in 16th. I think that is our grid. Nice to see some names I haven't seen before this late in the season as well. 20 minutes as ever. I'll let you know, we're estimating about 13 laps worth of racing. It's going to be a bit of a crazy lap one. I hope you don't get your mind totally lost in it. And we're about to go green.
This is going to be exciting. No, this is going to be a good first lap right here. Here we go.
Off we go, and Martin Arnoldus is fast off the grid, covers off Ian Joyner straight away. You're going to need quite a wide entry into this corner. I see the 7 sort of trying to make that inside line work. Fabio Berchtold jumps up to 4th. Plenty wide further back. This track is very wide, and it's going to offer a lot of space. And our first terrifying passing zone is on its way very, very soon. Cars are absolutely fanning out wide through these early sweepers. Martin Arnoldus still holds the lead in time, but there's about 3 to 4 ready to fly into our first very decisive chicane. If you take this badly, you'll be sent flying by the sausage curbs, as is also learned by a few Skippy drivers. Our top 3 is going to make it through cleanly. In fact, Van Medma's alongside Ian Joyner and looking ready to sort of finish the job as it stands. It's not going to be quite enough momentum, but there's another dive opportunity into our next chicane. Side by side, still not it. And in fact, that's a slow exit. Fabio Berchtold almost looking to try to take advantage.
The 3 car back there, Spiker, he is flying, man. Every shot that we get, I see he's making passes, and he is all over the place back there.
We'll be looking at the fast chargers in just a couple laps. There was an incident with Alistair Morton at the back, and we will catch a replay of that as soon as possible as our drivers fly into the final chicane, and they begin the first of what is estimated to be about 13 laps. I see Christopher Cash might have disappeared off the back. What has happened behind us? That is upside down FF1600s. It was Christopher Cash involved in that one. You know, you guys could have waited just a moment. Let's keep an eye on that one. How do you flip a 1600?
they launched that thing right over the top. That was awesome.
Awesome's one way. So Christopher Cash was just did just blink out. It was Jake Forster that was involved. Two things that were caught the cars disappearing. This was Jake Forster's perspective, side by side with the 9 car. Just a small tag. Whoa! A small tag like that sending you airborne. That's unlucky. Looks like both cars might be okay, but that's a frustrating place to be right now. It's a bit of bad luck, really, to run side by side like that and not get the best of it. We move on.
Yeah, well, at least they're not doing it single file like the Skippies, so...
we have more cars backwards. Oh. Richard Harwood is continuing to tangle with Aldis Polish, just sending Aldis back. I mean, like, what is Richard's game here? This is the second car he's gotten in contact with. He jumps off the curb, and there's a little bit of cars are just coming together right now. Polish with the meatball flag, absolutely brutalized. I don't want this track to become a wrecking field. I'll put it like that. I would quite like if we could keep it together one lap. Nick Aronson also backwards in that last chicane where it is quite easy to self-spin it under your own power. I've done that a few times. An eventful second lap. This top 3 is still fighting.
Crazy.
The racing
That's a good battle up there.
The racing's gotten very aggressive in this SoF, I'll have to say. Drivers, I mean, I've been seeing it sort of evolve as the weeks have gone on, but some of these aren't even necessarily heavy championship points on the line. We move onwards and upwards. Our top 3 still very close on the field, but I mean, I find it hard to throw a car in side by side to one of these and really assert it about risking a crash. These cars have very open, exposed wheels. I find that one of the last corners of this track, it's the leg right-hander after this. It's one of the best places to get a pass in. And we'll see what Ann Medmer can pull off. He's got a lot to make up in order to try and claim some important championship points. This, you can pull off a nice dive bomb here if your inside isn't covered properly. Ann Medmer doesn't quite do it this time. And we still run for our top 3 in tandem. There's a lot of slowdown penalties for getting your free wheels of your car just onto the green. The green seems to be not an off-track, but a very big slowdown heaven. Picked up a lot of those all around. Going to file on through. Further back, Eric Van Spiker, you mentioned him. He's been passed by Istad, but the battle may continue for a while to come. By Ian Anderson, leads over Hecky Schaefer behind. The 16 car has certainly made up ground. He's at 2K in a lobby of 6Ks. Any iRating gains here, let alone league points, will be monumental. It's one of those days where you get to take advantage, I think. I've seen more cars go backwards than during Donington Park. I have a feeling there might be some sore feelings. But they could either escalate or de-escalate. Find out over the course of our next few laps, I think.
Well, I can definitely tell you that Paulus had some opinions after he got sent backwards into that last incident that gave him his meatball flag. He definitely had some opinions because in the iRacing chat he was fired up.
I like reading it in private after the race and just sort of reflecting on how people feel about the day they just had. You know, you got to make sure people watch their sporting code when it's live, but sometimes you go back through the chat and you think, whoa, that was fiery. Ian Joyner looking to try and make it side by side into this chicane. These chicanes, you always think they're overtaking opportunities, and then, that's the right hander. I can't recognize anything in this track because it's tricky, but he has made it work in the passing zone then, that I just said, side by side alongside Martin. I think Admedmar might be looking to take advantage, and if he's not covered off, this could. He is covered off, but Ian Joyner claims the place. Fabio Birchtold, just about a second behind, is sort of watching it out. They're still making moves up here, and Medford does get past Martin on the back straight, a little bit draft into his advantage, and the top 2 battle will resume. A finish like this probably gives Medmer the championship. There are significant drop weeks, so it's quite hard to play this game completely, but I mean, yeah, it would likely be a likely championship win if Ann Medmer were to secure anything that even looks good today. There's a 50 for first, 40 for second, and a bad week to be dropped off the back of championship results.
Yeah, Medma made it. That was a nice move there. He got out of that turn strong, and then, like you said, used that draft to come down the straightaway and take that second place. And I believe Medma's got eyes on first here.
There's Haki Schaefer getting past just a little bit earlier down the road. Aston Morton also passing Richard Harwood, who's had a very bad day. And this gap has certainly pulled away a little bit. It's never insurmountable around here, but as much as Fabio Birchtold behind has pulled in, this top two have gone, and now it's Medmer's time. That right-hander, it's your passing zone on this track. I've confirmed it, I've locked it in, I've sealed it. And he's made it work twice now. Certainly knows the track well and has done his practice over the weeks. Is a move going to be made in retaliation? I don't quite think there's room for that to go.
We'll see, but I tell you what, Medma's, it's my first time here. Medma's clearly got some really decent driving skills.
This is a tricky chicane. It's very easy. Underbraking to get a little bit unstable. Even in this car, it's very easy to get just a little bit unstable. And this is what Ian Anderson probably did.
Oh.
I had to save a lot of slides like that. And Ian Anderson couldn't quite keep it on this occasion. I gotta say, Ian Joyner's not even close to done.
Joyner's fixing to try to make a move here, it looks like. Oh, nice block by Medma.
It's not going to stop him. There's good momentum. No. And you have the
advantage. That's a tough spot.
Jumping over the curbs, and Martin Arnold just loses it out completely behind. Fabio Birchtold has just mugged him. He's taken him and run 2 places. A very, very, very rapid pass. Where did that one come from? It felt like a rocket ship just flew into place.
Joyner ate too much of that sausage curb.
He just decided, I'm just done with this. We have a new rival. A new rival to Ann Medmer, perhaps. We take those. It's a top 3 more to a top 4. I guess it was just 2 bad corner exits in one go that just suddenly became one.
Yeah, I tell you what, Medma's looking back in the mirror there and saying, y'all keep fighting back there. I'm going to go ahead and find myself a second out here and pull away a little bit.
I'm loving the action in the chat today. We have Neil Gardner has jumped down from his skip Barbertown and is here to tell the 1600 drivers how it's done. Now, we're all meant to be friends here by all respects, but I got to say, you're calling them that front 3 wimpy? I hope you've seen the action you're looking for now on this racetrack. They are at each other's throats at the very moment. Ian Joyner and Martin Arnoldus and Fabio Birchtold, who's definitely going to want that place and time back. We're over halfway through the race, and we're going for the side-by-side game again. And I bet you can see Eric Van Spijker and Alexander Istad willing to take advantage. There were mistakes taken in earlier.
Oh,
I thought that was going to be slow on a race. That was covered off so well, but there's a run now from the 5. We might send it 3 wide. Just blocked in time. It's side by side again. Ian Joyner's not done, and he has jumped the curb and gone backwards.
Whoa!
That was a jumping off the curb. That was a jumping off the curb moment right there. Your moves can only be so aggressive, and then Zolder punishes you for your mistakes.
It certainly does in these lighter cars like this. Absolutely, those curbs are brutal to these lighter vehicles.
Hello, Eric Van Spijker and Alexander Istad. Are you here to bring us the best race we've had so far this season? You could be. We have 4 competing. Fabio and Medmer's run away. And Medmer has decided he's out of here. And when he hot laps, he is fast. That's the fastest lap of the race. It's a 1 minute 38.2. We'll see how much lower we can get that. And we have 4 fighting now for the P2.
Yeah. Medmer's just checked out on him.
And he's just, when Medma gets a run, he goes. He just goes. And then he doesn't make a mistake, and he doesn't give it up. And that's what's going to lock in a championship, especially if the P2 rival has decided that, not decided, but the P2 rival isn't going to be that much of a close one anymore. We're running quite wide and quite heavy into this chicane, but we're not splitting it quite. Not splitting the difference. We run almost single file. For a bit. I think we're going to be a bit safe for a while, and the pressure cooker's going to reignite at the end of this race. Certainly people are going to make moves, but now we've learned the lesson of hubris around this track, people, and that is if you play the game too hard, you get bitten by Zolder in response. You should have asked the Australians how their week went and what it was like going airborne in those skippies. They gave you the textbook this week.
Yeah, this can be a good battle right here from second all the way down to fifth place. They're fixed to start locking horns here pretty soon.
Well, Ian Joyner has another place. He is fast on this track, and he might not be out of contention. Drivers are going wide. We're doing it again. One by one, Martin Arnoldus gets the draft pass for the lead. Slotting back into line, Fabio Berchtold. Now, Arnoldus wants to play the game of getting away from the rest as quickly and efficiently as possible. None of these drivers are quite done, but now if I bring back the championship standings there, if Joyner doesn't make up places, it's over. It's completely and well and truly over, and Ann Medma will have claimed a beautiful, beautiful crown and a grand prize of nothing. Bragging rights, I say. We don't quite use the iRacing point system, but that's because it's a bit weird. As that's a poor exit from Fabio Berchtold over, and Spiker now going to go alongside. You praised him earlier in this race. He could be about to take a third on the road. Still not quite enough of a run to do it, but he is fast, and he's not done.
No, these curbs here, I tell you what, if you make a mistake and catch one of these sausage curbs, it will definitely mess your lap up. Maybe your race.
Maybe your race. We might have seen just a little bit of that play out. I think we are going to see calm a bit, but we're about to approach lap. We're on lap 9 of 13's estimation. And Medna sets the pace on the white flag in a timed race like this, so not completely sure until the moment flies, but it'll be 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 5. I have to count these things on my hand still. That doesn't sound right. 1:38, 5 minutes, probably 4. Make it 4. It's like 10 out of 13 right now. Make it 4 around the shack. And Medma isn't even that far down. What was I going to say? Christopher Cash is battling down with Nato Brown and not kind of getting a bit out of line for it as Ian Joyner has our fastest lap. A man on a mission, a man with intent, perhaps to at least make up that P6 on Hecky Schaefer, who certainly is a bit of a fish out of water today, but bless him for making it as far as he has. Chris Cash still dueling behind. Chris Cash has made the place out on the first sector, and they might make their move again into one of these chicanes. We'll keep an eye on this for a short while.
Yeah, I think... I'm sorry. I think Joyner is... it's a little too late for Joyner, I believe.
I think for pace like this, he could make one more position. And that would be a day. That would be a day in the office. At least, like, sometimes you do see an incident that sort of decides like a championship, and you sort of think like, oh, I wish it didn't go that way, because there's going to be salt about it after the fact. And it feels worse for him that it was a self-spin. But also it feels like there's less tension in the air. So you just sort of have to take it for what it is, don't you? Fortunately, Brown not quite making up the ground.
Clearly, he's settled in that the fact that he's, probably threw away his championship hopes right there, but and obviously has skills. He's turned the fastest lap in the race so far, so he probably has, like you said. Oh, there's a nice move here in the front. Look at this.
Overtaken by Ann Medma for the fastest lap now. Not quite under the 38 so far. We're side by side. What was I saying? Join us faster again. We are willing to battle and tussle. This is Fabio in the yellow and Spiker in the red. Fabio ahead for now, but I think Alexander Istad might be ready to take advantage of anything that happens here. As we fly on through, we're side by side between Eric and Fabio Berchtold. Marcel Arnoldus well and truly willing and hoping to run away with this. I think the outbreak is on Spiker, and he might have the better line on exit to claim this P3. He certainly has been flying. I don't think Istad is done by any means. If Berchtold has another bad corner, he'd quite like a P4. Well and truly sending it alongside,
nice
locking
move.
wheels,
Oh,
and
no!
there is contact.
Golly.
I think the locking of the wheels
it.
might have been a contact moment. Please don't block me, trees. Please, please. I'm going to find a new angle for this now. Well, we can do that.
That was a beautiful tree, by the way.
I mean, it was a nice tree. I'm just trying to find like a nice chase cam that will be good for this. I can't navigate this thing at all. I'm like an old person here. It was a clipping.
Yeah, he clipped him.
It was clipped. If I could, yeah. No, now we're not. Yeah. Oh, it's dodgy.
Oh, yeah.
It's a little bit dodgy. His race doesn't look totally over though, because he pretty much got his position back. He lost time. And maybe that time won't be enough because we have 1:30. It's going to be 2 to go this time around. But could make another attack. This 1, 2, 3 have run away. Medma's run away from Martin, who's run away from Spiker, who's now run away from Fabio. We've settled it down a bit. And Hecky Schaefer is actually playing this game.
Well, Schaefer seems to be holding off Joyner. Even though Joyner, like you said, was a man on a mission.
It hasn't quite come to be, unfortunately. And so, I'm impressed, though. I mean, I want to see the I-rating fall at the end of this, because he's taken down 5Ks and 4Ks. In fact, he's the 16 car in a high SOF lobby, over 1,000 below the SOF. You just take I-rating for, like, candy when you do that sort of thing. Istad certainly isn't done and isn't out of this, and he's going to want a better one than last time. The space has been well and truly given up on the inside into that right-hander, and that was child's play as a pass. I think drivers have to be holding the inside more into this corner. I mean, it's simply the passing destination, especially Berchtold, who's been up there for a long time now. But it was given up, and maybe it was a concession. How is Hecky Schaefer so close to almost rear-ending? And Medma comes around for the white flag.
Well, that was close there.
I would say, for all the crazy racing we've had today, and I'll make sure to give you some replays of some of the craziest incidents, Hecky Schaefer has made a run of a lifetime to end up here. 8 places up from qualifying, and is now battling with drivers in a completely different zip code. Mario helmet, and oh my god, even the driver suit looks like that.
And the face on the front of the car is probably scaring the drivers when they get in the rearview mirror and they see that face.
I wouldn't want to see it. I'm scared.
That's great. I love the fun liveries that some people run. That's great, though.
I'm scared, all right? I've just gotten used to seeing these liveries over and over, and then someone new shows up and they have something that is, like, clearly designed to unsettle us. Berchtold has a couple more chances to make this pass, and I'm not quite sure they're on. And Medma is about to run away with a win that really had to be earned in some grit and some fire, though. And a tough race, but once you get away, you can sort of just play that game. Only a few more turns to go for Anne Medma to essentially secure Beatrice's lovely little championship. We'll see the car coming. He's making moves to celebrate it. And Medma wins at Zolder and locks in a well-earned championship win.
Yeah, that was an impressive drive by Medma there. I mean, my first time seeing him, that was quite impressive. Didn't put a wheel wrong all race.
Oh. Here's a move by Nato Brown. Could try and pass Cash on the line. It's not going to happen, but Nick Aronson actually out-dragged him in the other train. Now, I'd usually sort of aim to conclude the stream the first thing possible from, like, you know, when we get, I'm not like rushing to do it, but there's not too much to talk to, but I think this race sort of requires like a bit of a debrief, a little bit of a recap of some of the stuff that we saw, because I mean, I'll just tell you, outrageous.
That was some good action. That was fun.
This was Alistair Morton early in the race. This was an incident we didn't catch. Why do they have to put bridges in this place? A 10 car's the one that sends it very, very deep and bounces off. That's Hecky's car that ends up getting recovered. Jake Forster, we're going to have to see you go airborne one last time, I'm afraid. It wasn't Jake Forster that went airborne, actually. It was Richard Harwood off his back. Side by side. It's tight into where.
There it is.
Clipped on the rear, and, well, these cars don't have a halo. I mean, I'd be concerned. You know, I'd be concerned.
That was fantastic. We
don't have to think about driver safety in this deal. That's why we do the things that we do. Erwin Paul, our 14, also has a bit of an incident of his own further up the road. Oh, it looks a bit like a self-spin.
Yeah, I think that was
a bit like a self-spin. Adis Polis. Oh, we're not looking for that. We're looking for that. This is Adis. Give me the replay. There's sales controversy over this one. Richard Harwood got involved twice. All right, I gotta say.
Yes.
The statute of limitation starts running thin. I'm not going to have the camera angle to it, but he bounces right off the curb and he turns right in. And I'm amazed that it's in getting clipped afterwards. That's the real. I mean, that's the internet playing games where that wipes Adis Polis's car 2 wheels off the back of that car.
Poor Rick and Morty there. That was a rough ride.
They've been through worse on their intergalactic adventures. One more, just a couple more. I don't do many of these, but, like, you know, there's just an exciting. This was a Nick Aronson backwards, and I'm afraid Adis Polis may have done it again later. No, it said may have crashed. That's just being slow in the pit. The defining moment of this race was Ian Joyner. I mean, this is a tricky place to be, and you're under pressure, and the pressure is high on a track like this, and he was already sliding when he hit the bump.
Yeah, those sausage curbs destroyed him there.
That's tough. And with that, we can get
your smart
race
rejoin
results.
though.
Well, you gotta earn your stripes on your good rejoins. I mean, once you're experienced, you don't do stupid stuff for too long. Let's get your finishing results. And Medma with a dominant win after a lot of fighting to earn it over Martin Arnoldas and Eric Van Spijker. What a charge up the grid. It's out Alexander Istad in 4th, Fabio Berchtold in 5th, Hecky Schaefer in 6th, Ian Joyner in 7th, Christopher Cash in 4th, Nick Aronson in 4th, Nick Aronson's in 9th, and Nato Brown's in 10th. Numbers are hard. Ian Anderson finishes 11th with Alistair Morton in 12th. Richard Harwood finishes 13th ahead of Jake Forster, Erwin Paul, and Aldis Hollis. And I believe that is a significant gap, especially in a series with drop weeks. And Medma has well and truly taken consistent driving to take over this championship. But don't go anywhere on this channel because we have one more week, and it's my favorite track in the world. It's Brands Hatch Indy. I've been there in real life to see this cars. You may even get to see some clips, all right? So that's a better reason than ever to tune into the channel. I couldn't be more excited to see it. I also meant to plug this a little bit earlier. I'm sorry if you hate ovals. I'm sorry. Avert your eyes. But we have one more open hosted session for the Gen 4 Thunder Series. We're not at Atlanta. You know, let's just hide that off the screen. We're at Auto Club Speedway this Friday at 8 p.m. GMT. If you don't know what that means, take 45 minutes off the start time of this race this Friday. It's in the hosted sessions race. you can tune in, or you can join in yourself. Search Gen 4 Thunder on the iRacing list that will be available. We're looking to get another wonderful grid building into our league for Season 2. Hopefully Jake Forster returns. He actually raced in that, and he was very competitive. But all housekeeping aside, another good race as we slowly wind down this iRacing season. I've been Howie Burroughs alongside Jim Cunningham. It's good to be back, isn't it? Wish you a very good week up ahead. I've been on the